Evening and welcome to the October Health and Education Committee meeting. First order of business here, we have a number of different things to do tonight, but don't know how lengthy they'll be, mostly some school discussion as well. Minute approval, first thing on the agenda, and I need a motion to approve the minutes from the last meeting.
So moved.
Second.
And all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
And I'll vote aye as well. And that gets us to the community care, and we appreciate the report.
Community care, they're continuing to function very nicely. The census is good. We will report this cookie man over this. Mr. King has had some appendectomy surgery, so he's out for a day or two, but I think he's coming along nicely.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Ms. Cook, of course, you're on the board and a newly elected member of the board.
Thank you.
Re-elected, so congratulations on that. And do you have anything to add to what the mayor said?
We're honored to have Mr. King for us for 10 years. He's just completed 10 years.
All right.
Doesn't seem like it's been that long, but things just run around smoother.
Mark King, of course, is the director out there. Okay, need a motion to approve the community care report.
Move to approve.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor, if there's no discussion, please signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No, and that would get us to the health department report, and Gary is with us, and she has turned in her usual report, and
Good evening.
Hello.
So what I have attached are the last 2 months. I didn't get to make it to the month before. August and September's report. And for the new people, this is the report of our encounters, the patients that we see and what programs they're in. And you can kind of see comparing year to year and the numbers. That's what this report shows us. And you can see that we continue to have a very high demand and increase number in both our primary care services for women and for men. Those are hugely increased. And continue to see an increased demand and need for Women's Infant and Children Program, also known as the WIC program. So those numbers continue to increase, and we're trying to meet that demand as best we can with that.
The reason for the increase, Dana?
I think we have talked about it a little bit, but I think it's really we have hard economic times. Insurance is not necessarily available for people even who have jobs. And there's just a really big demand for primary care services for our adults. And then the Women, Infant, and Children program is like a food supplement program where they get nutritional information, and then they're in return for listening and doing a part of our nutritional education, we give them vouchers for grocery store food and formulas and help with breastfeeding and those kind of things. So those are all programs that we see increase when the economy is not doing as well.
We've seen those increase the last couple of years as a result of unemployment, that type of thing.
I think it is. I really do. We also built a larger, more efficient facility in Smyrna, which allowed us to be able to see patients faster, more efficiently as well. And build it and they will come, and that's what's happened in Smyrna. So as you know from the last commission meeting, we just got the contract approved for expanding in Smyrna again to offer more of those WIC services, classrooms and those kind of things for that.
Flu shot.
And then the next
Season
thing I had,
kicking
is flu. So that leads me right into the next part, which every year I like to usually talk to you guys because you may get calls, and also because of the TV, to tell you what we are offering. We have walk-in flu shots from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. They don't have to have an appointment, and they can come Monday and Thursday is when we do that at either the Smyrna or the Murfreesboro site. There's no shortage of vaccine. It's readily available everywhere in the community. We do offer vaccine for anybody 6 months or older, so all the way up from 6 months. That's when it's recommended that children start to get the flu vaccine. Is there a fee? Yes, there is a fee. Our fee is based on income. So when the people come in, all our services are based on their income. The base price for a child, which would be under 19, is $13.70, and then for an adult, it's $32. And again, we can adjust that if it needs to be.
That would be the top.
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. We file Medicare and TennCare too if they have that and need to do that. But like I said, it's readily available. We haven't seen a big demand in our health department for it because it has been everywhere. You know, all the pharmacies and grocery stores, which is fine. We have it there if they need it. And some of those places can't do the children, so we've seen a little bit more kids and not as many adults. Whereas it used to be the other way, we'd see more adults and less kids. This year, the recommendation from the CDC is for everybody ages 6 months up to get the flu vaccine. So that hasn't always been the recommendation, but that is what's recommended this year. They're just starting to make it broader and broader, and now it's just 6 months and up. Everybody needs to get one.
So there's not a concern about a pending epidemic or anything where there's going to be a higher percentage of flu. They're just suggesting that, or they're concerned that there's
No,
going to be
we've been working towards that.
Okay.
Every year, trying to build our supply, trying to build the system to take on that recommendation. And this year, we were finally ready as a nation to take on that recommendation, so the CDC recommended it with no restrictions. You know, sometimes it's been, if you have heart
Right.
disease, you need to get it, you're really high risk, you need to get it. Now they're just saying, let's give it to everybody 6 months and older.
And that one flu shot's covering the full gamut,
Yes,
is it not?
which normally, over the years, it just people started to know this with H1N1. Over the years, flu shots always had 2 or 3 strands mixed in. It was our best guess of what the flu was going to be, an educated guess on what that flu strain was going to be for the year. And so it always had 2 or 3 strands. This one has 3 strands in it, one of which is the H1N1, because we did expect to see that more, again this year. So one of the 3 in there is the H1N1. So you don't need a separate shot like you did last year. You needed a flu shot and the H1N1, and this time it's different. Which
Question.
is good.
What is the length of one of the flu shots?
The length, you mean,
Yeah, you take
how
it
long
down.
is it good for?
Uh-huh.
Yes, 1 per season.
1 per season. And what are you calling a season?
You
Is it
would
3
not-
months, or is it 6 months, or the winter season, or what?
You would not need another one. There's not a certain time that you could say 6 months, or they used to say you needed to have it you needed to have it within 3 months of the peak of the flu season. Now they say 1 for the year. So if you've had one this year, you're fine.
And
Most people
When
got
you-
H1N1 last year. They didn't get the flu vaccine. Some people did get both. Most people got H1N1, so they don't have the flu shot for this year. So
when
they
you
need to get that.
take the shot, say you take it today and come down next week with the flu, is it from the shot, or is it from that you already had it in
Oh,
your
that's a really
system?
good question. I mean, people ask me that all the time, And there's tons of research on it. It is an inactivated virus that's given to you. There's no way it can activate and become the flu. It can't. But you can get exposed to the flu at the grocery store, then go into the health department, get a shot, then go home, and 2 or 3 days later you get the flu from when you were exposed, not necessarily from the shot. Now, some people will get achy or have a little fever, and they'll call that a flu after a shot. That's pretty normal to get a little achy or have a fever even. But that is just a reaction to your body. Your body's actually fighting an immune response, building antibodies against the flu, which is what we want it to do. So that's a good response. When people say that, I had that, I say, good. That means it took, and you're going to be healthy and prevent disease. And of course, besides the flu vaccine, you always vaccination, you always really want to do hand washing diligently during this time. That's really the number one thing behind vaccination that you can do, is diligent hand washing.
Thank you. I want the public to hear that.
Yeah, any questions you commonly hear, I'll be glad to answer. And of course, they can always call the health department, both sites. We're pretty much experts at flu vaccine. Anything you need to know, we can help you answer.
I've got a question. Help me understand a
Absolutely.
little on the WIC program. You said that those are vouchers or things that you can give if you did you say there was nutritional guidelines that they need to follow
Yeah,
before they
there
were allowed
is.
on the program? How is that tracked? Like, do they agree to it, then they can go to the store and there's certain things they can buy, but how do you know that they're buying those items?
Well, there are federal guidelines that are put out. WIC is a federal program, and they tell us that there's certain income guidelines that they have to meet, and then there's certain issues they have to deal with. Like if they have a nutritional issue, obesity or underweightness or failure to thrive or cleft lip or different syndromes that they might have.
Right.
Those kinds. So if they have 2 issues that they need help with, then they will qualify to be part of our WIC program. Being part of our WIC program says that we will instruct you on healthy eating, healthy practices, proper weight, what the child should weigh, when should you go to the doctor, how often should you go to the doctor, tell you about well child exams, tell you about dental exams, when they should start and all that, because the program is for pregnant women and children up to the age of 5, through the age of 5. So because of that, we do a lot of education with them. And then in return for them participating in that education, they get the vouchers. And the vouchers are set by the federal guidelines on what they can buy: cheese, cereal, like Cheerios, milk, orange juice. You know, those
And that's
kinds of things.
and that's identified at the grocery store market where they go that
It
only
is.
these things can be purchased.
Right, and they can get a certain amount each month, so they have a voucher.
Of that item.
Right, of
Okay.
that item for the month. And it is a supplemental program. It's, you know, so some people have that and food stamps,
Right.
which is 2 different programs. Food stamps are just given to you, don't get education with them. So, and this is meant to be like a supplemental to their regular diet. It wouldn't be a total diet package.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Ms. Gary? If not, I need a motion to approve her report. And a second?
So moved.
A second, please.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor, aye, please? Aye. And thank you, Ms. Garrett. Ms. Garrett, before you
Thank you. Nice to meet
tell
you.
the committee that she's going to speak to the commission either this month, which reminding you again, that's the 18th, or in December. Just general information for the commission on the health department. Let's leave it at that for now.
Right.
She hasn't told me what she's going to talk about yet, but just general information about Smyrna and Murfreesboro Office of the Health Department. I think we can leave it there now. Just thought I'd let you know that she will be doing that. Thank you, Ms. Gary.
Okay, thank you.
Appreciate it very much.
You mean 18 December or something?
Either November or December.
Oh.
We don't know yet.
Okay.
She's got to check her calendar because she didn't know about the 18th change, so. Ms. Jolly? Special projects. The 11th is Veterans Day.
We're not having county commission on that day?
No, we're not.
Not on the 11th.
Mm.
No, we're not. Okay.
Courthouse is closed on that day.
Okay, so we do 18th?
18th, I believe, is commission time.
Okay. I didn't
I
know
wonder
that.
why I had it down 2 Thursdays
The longer I'm on the
in a
commission, the
row.
more dates are changed.
Ms. Jolly, welcome. What do you have for us on school building program and special projects and things like that?
Well, the only new thing, I've added the new project, the Stewart's Creek High School on page 6. And that's just your design money that y'all approved last week. And everything else is just processing, paying bills and encumbering POs. Anything, if you have any other questions?
This was a transfer from something else. Where did it come from?
It's internal fund.
Yeah.
Did it come from someplace on your report?
No, on my report, you can't see anything. It'll show that we're underfunded for that right now. So he's gonna fix that. On the page 9. It's hard to read. Get down there, it'll show that.
Page 9.
I'm
I've
sorry.
only got 8 pages.
Is it not? Is it
Page
not?
6 is where you got the new.
There is no page 9 on that.
I got the old eyes going on.
Page 8.
Is that what it is? It's so tiny, I can't even
It's your
read
last
it.
page.
My last.
Oh, here we go.
Sorry.
The last,
But we're gonna fix that when he comes up here. Anything, any other questions?
I'm sorry, Jeff's shaking his head like he's going to explain it to Teresa, but internal movement from another project, shouldn't there have been something coming out of your report?
Not
And
until,
maybe
not
we're-
until y'all approve it tonight.
Okay,
I don't do it before y'all approve it.
okay. Then you're gonna do it.
Yes, it's on next month's report.
Thank you.
Any other questions from Ms. Jolly? She's eager to field any ground balls, anything. Okay, I need to, a motion to approve Ms. Jolly's report.
That's one more.
Mr. Soriano, Ms. Cook, second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposition? There is none, and thank you, Ms. Jolly. Mr. Sandvik, good evening, sir. Good evening. I notice you're alone, Mr. Sandvik.
Yes.
Take good or bad.
Are you armed?
It should be very, does anyone else need what was mailed out?
I don't need anything,
Changes.
Jeff, so if you've got an extra.
Oh, I always,
Just the mail? Yeah.
Did you get anything?
I don't remember getting
it was supposed to have gone out Friday,
No,
after the commission, after the school board met Thursday night and approved it.
Did anybody get one?
Did
I got
not get it in
mine.
the mail.
I got mine.
He got his in the
Oh,
mail.
Maybe in
postmarked
today's
22nd. I've got the envelope right
Yeah, I guess I need to read my mail more closely.
Because I stress,
Because I
it
went
has
through-
to go out in the morning mail, not the,
Because I went through my stack last night, to make sure.
Mr. Sandvik, take it away, sir.
all right, well, what y'all approved last month was us internally funding the design fees for Stewart's Creek High School out of monies that we won't be spending for other projects. The First Amendment provides 1.1 $1,067,769 being moved around. These projects, we split them into the elementary and the secondary funding. And those of you who've been on the commission for a while, yeah, elementary funds, for those of you who haven't been on the commission for a while, elementary funds, when we borrow them, are shared with the city. So we have to keep K-6 monies separate from 7-12, just to best utilize our money. So this amendment takes $1,292 from the Rockvale Middle School project, $933,543 from Browns Chapel Elementary School project, and an old $132,934 from 2007 repairs. The unshared $861 will go straight to design fees for Stewart's Creek High School. But we will put the shared $1,066,908, since it's elementary money, we're going to put it, just call it for next elementary school. We will utilize this cash until we go to the bond market toward these design fees. If we use this amount for the high school project, basically $150,000 of what we borrowed that went to the city wouldn't have needed to go to the city. So it's best use of our money until we actually go to the bond market for that $1.3 million. Right now, it looks as though within the Oakland and Whitworth Buchanan middle school budgets, we will have the other $200,000 or so with ease, but we don't know where that is now because they have this first year, some of the furnishing and equipment budget, basically they have this first year, especially the library books, but some other items they'll be ordering throughout this school year, the technology. So we can't commit to where exactly it will be at this point. But our recommended motion is to amend $1,092 from the Rockvale Middle School project, $933,543 from the Browns Chapel Elementary School project, and $132,934 from 2007 repairs, for a total of $1,067,769, with $861 being moved to Stewart's Creek High School design fees and $1,066,908 being moved for the next elementary school. But we're not asking for the next elementary school.
Okay, you've heard the motion, no doubt there are questions, or maybe not, I don't know.
You're going to have to spoon feed me, Jeff. I'm struggling to figure out
Well,
why
okay.
we're moving whatever it is, 1.6 something to
If-
elementary projects.
Because it's already been shared money, and we need to keep that. We borrowed more, $1.2 million, and
Okay.
gave the city about $150,000. If we don't keep it separate, elementary, secondary, essentially we wasted that $150,000. We won't be using the money for that project. We will be planning on using the cash, the internal funding that was approved at the commission last month within the building program. We're going to make sure that that $1,066,000 cash is available, not do anything with it, and then we will be essentially borrowing that internally within the fund to
So
pay for these design fees.
So is that why when we talked about this money needing to be replaced, that's why it would be replaced?
When you go to the bond market.
Okay.
Yeah, because basically we borrowed $1.2 million
Okay.
in order to get that $1,066,000.
So we're just booking that number basically under elementary, is
Right.
that then we're using the cash towards
Right.
Stewart's Creek?
Going ahead and cleaning up the older projects.
But we're just booking basically a debt to elementary schools.
Right.
Okay, because I was initially thinking that we had to replace that money because that money was committed elsewhere, you know, maybe even for operational. I wasn't sure why it needed to be replaced, but it needs to be replaced because of its original intent of its use.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, that's just something we always try to keep very careful.
If a
The
school
general
comes in under
purpose-
budget, the city doesn't give us back the money we
Right.
gave him too much.
It's theirs. And,
We can be sure of that.
yeah.
So you're talking about
Gotta work on that.
sharing
Yeah,
with the
we need
city
to
and
work on
county,
it.
right?
Yeah, whenever we borrow for a K-6 project or whatever part, for middle school, 1/3, sixth grade, we have to write the city school system a check for, and now it's a little over 15% of the amount. So,
Yeah, you build a school in Laverne, and the city of Murfreesboro gets
absolutely.
15% of it.
Absolutely, because it's county-wide,
Or Eagleville, or
Elementary school.
elementary
Yeah.
school, yeah.
Right.
regardless of where it is in the county.
All of us entertain questions on that very concept.
Yeah. But if we used it, Jeff, if we actually moved it, the next time we built an elementary school, we basically pay the city that $150,000 again.
Okay, I've got that.
Okay.
The next question that keeps running through my mind, you're talking about when we go to the bond market. What if we don't go to the bond market, Jeff? All of this is hinged upon.
Well, at some
upon
point-
this coming back and the
Okay.
county commission saying, yeah, we're going to build that.
If
the county commission says, no,
Okay.
we're not going to build it, what's going to happen
Okay.
to those borrowed funds at that particular point in time?
At some point, the commission could make the decision to move these elementary funds to pay for the Stewart's Creek high school design fees. But if you do that, we have used shared funds to pay for something that would be unshared. We've given up the $150,000.
Why would it be
essentially.
shared funds if we don't use it? I mean, it's shared funds if we use it,
If we use it for elementary,
but say we don't use it, those. and
when
we
you
still have those-
borrow,
You have to
Lisa
mention.
writes a check. When you borrow for elementary, it's gone on the front end.
And then if we change our mind, we've just lost it.
Right. We are very cautious
Ooh,
in
we
working
have to
out what we
remember
borrow. Yeah. And we try very hard. We have done it occasionally in the past for a few $100,000, But we try very hard not to use shared money for secondary projects. And when we have, it's basically been a transfer from fund balance. But we try not to do that.
Real specific now, Jeff, if, when this comes back for full funding, and let's just say the county commission says no.
Right.
We're not going to do it. And there was some discussion on that, of course, last
Of
month.
course.
Or a couple of weeks ago. And they say no. This money that we're borrowing will go back to where it
Well, this
came
money that
from.
we have already borrowed, the $1,066,000, we have the cash on hand.
Right.
Okay. So it can be moved wherever the school board and the commission agree.
If we put
I
the school
guess-
off for another year,
That's no problem.
this loan could just ride out for
Right.
another year. Because I think everybody understands, we'll build this school at some point in time.
Yeah.
One point, we will replenish the 1.3 million, this is 1.067, because we are going to have to refund some bonds that we borrowed on a short-term basis. So there will be some borrowing next spring. I think it'll be $10 million or whatever. So at that time, we can replenish the 1.067 so that we don't incur this $150,000 quote exposure loss.
Yeah. Lisa and I are very careful in all of our working on this issue.
Any other questions, comments? It's a difficult concept. I'll speak for myself. It's a difficult concept to get your mind around sometimes. I mean, I got this one. I got it. And the next time we do it, I won't got it until you explain it again. It's kind of an unusual thing. If there are no other questions, then I need a motion to adopt recommendation number 1 here. And a second.
I'll make that motion, 'cause that's what we approved last month. This is just the logistics of where it's coming from.
Thank you, Commissioner Jerd.
I'll second.
Thank you, Commissioner Allen. If there's no further discussion, do we need to? We do, okay. We got to go around and call the roll. So, bet you Commissioner Allen comes first.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes. Mr. Stanley?
The Second Amendment is cleaning up the budget of 4 projects that we have underway. Often when we start a budget, a new school project, and I don't know if you want to look at page 4 of the report that Ms. Jolly gave y'all. Middle of that page, the first column of numbers shows $2.5 million. When we started that project, we just put it all into building improvements.
Come on,
Some-
on this report.
Oh, I'm sorry.
The one,
Yeah.
on the building, that's just.
And then, as we move further in the budget, we break it down into the individual line items within that. Architect, engineering, furniture, equipment, et cetera. So these 3 amendments are doing on the Second Amendment, it is cleaning up 4 of these projects. Campus School, Oakland Middle, Whitworth Buchanan, and Central Magnet School. Just the dollars that in the budget for each project are not changing. We're just moving them line item to line item
Within that same project.
within that same project. Just kind of mid-project cleanup. And as we get further out, we'll do like we did on the first one, we'll do a final cleanup. After all the purchase orders have cleared, everything's been spent that is going to be spent. So, Campus School, $9,167. Oakland Middle School, $248,000. $969. Whitworth Buchanan, $397,939. And Central Magnet School, $555,660. And our recommended motion is to amend the individual line items in the campus school renovation project, Oakland Middle School project, Whitworth Buchanan School project, and the Central Magnet School project as presented.
Questions? If not, I need a motion to approve Amendment 2 and a second.
Move to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Phillips. Commissioner Soriano, a second. All in favor? If it's, whoop, we gotta go around, don't we?
Yes.
Oh, I know you love to call the roll. Call that roll.
Commissioner Allen?
Aye.
Commissioner Cook?
Yes.
Commissioner Jordan?
Yes.
Commissioner Phillips?
Aye.
Commissioner Sereno?
Yes.
Commissioner Turner?
Aye.
Commissioner Jordan?
Aye. I was doing so well.
It's not my rule.
I know it's not. Just a word, this past week, it reminded me of Central Magnet being on here. We, Mr. Clardy and myself, and Commissioner Soriano, and Dr. Bullen went as my guest, and we toured the Central and had lunch over there this past week, and just passing it on to this committee and anybody that might be listening that it is, well, to an old tiger, it is wonderful, but it is a sparkling facility. We stayed for class changes, lunch, talked to a number of faculty members. I mean, it is, seems like to me that Dr. Ash has got the place running pretty smooth. And it's moving toward what he hopes it will be, a full magnet school. Of course, there's no junior and senior class there yet. Those rooms are being used for storage, and it seems like they're full of computers and some science labs and whatever. But anyway, I don't want to just go through all this, but I just wanted to, we took Dr. Bullen, of course. He was so instrumental in working for that project, and it is going to be a great thing, I think. Okay, I don't know exactly where to go from here. Do you have other things that you need to present?
No,
I didn't think that you did. We, well, more than one of us, I guess, requested some information, and Mr. Sandvik is here to help us, I guess, go through that, and we can talk about it at whatever length you would like to. And Ms. Nolan, and I assume the mayor and others probably had input into this, but Ms. Nolan presented a good deal of material to budget the other night, and on the health and education request to the budget committee about the effect, I don't know any other word to say, of Stewart's Creek High School, and you have that material. And we can discuss that at whatever length or questions that Mr. Sandvik can answer. He's obviously open to do that. So, yes, sir.
Oh, and kind of the direction we had was we are working on items relating to this issue right now, and we will have a special called school board meeting the second week in November. I don't remember for certain. It's Monday or Tuesday, and be bringing forward to Health and Ed at y'all's November meeting more information.
If I could, let me read what Commissioner Schaefer said, and I assume this is obviously what you all are responding to. Commissioner Schaefer requested that the school board report back to Health and Education Committee at their November meeting and the December Budget Committee meeting as to estimates on projects that were seriously planning to begin in the next 3 years and the next 5 years based on the best available information. Commissioner Schaefer stated that Eagle had been discussed as well as renovations to older schools. He stated that he believed that the county was looking at more than the Stewart's Creek High School. That's from the budget minutes. Now, I think what this is from Ms. Nolan is really in response to our request, and if I may, Commissioner Phillips' really request that we have some more information about the effect of the high school. And so I just put it on the agenda that we would have a Stewart's Creek High School discussion. That doesn't mean we have to have one. We can do whatever the committee wishes.
Mr. Chairman, what
Yes.
specific information do you have in your hand? I'm not sure that I've seen
Okay,
that.
this is report on additional operating costs to open Stewart's Creek High School in 2013 and 14. It's growth, recovery, and fund balance look for, I would assume, well, it says so right here, future possible tax rates, what it would take to pay for it, that sort of thing. And there's nothing stopping us from, we don't have to discuss this tonight. And am I the only one that has this?
I saw that in the budget, but I was under the impression they're putting it in all the commissioners' mailboxes.
Yes,
Yes,
sir,
sir.
that was, the reason I was bringing that up, Mr. Chairman, was I really would have liked to have seen that before tonight, and I did
Well,
not see that
absolutely.
information.
And as a matter of fact, Commissioner Jordan, and he was a member of the Budget Committee, and we both requested, I guess, best way to say it, I was just there as just there.
I was under the impression it was put in all the commissioners'
I was too.
mailboxes.
That was
but
my
And
understanding.
that's not correct.
That may have been an oversight,
No.
because I had that, it's on my desk at home. I took it home from the budget meeting and didn't bring it back with me tonight. But
Well, I'm not a member of Budget, and since I got one, I assumed, which is always dangerous, that everyone got one. But we're under no time constraints here, and I don't believe we can even begin a discussion unless everyone at this committee has had an opportunity to look at it.
we could make sure, or the mayor, or somebody could make sure that every commissioner does get one, and we could have this discussion next month, if that wouldn't upset
I
anybody.
have 3 extra copies of what Ms. Nolan prepared. I can share with 3 of you at least tonight. What she shared basically was only relative to the debt service of the potential building of the school. We didn't have any information regarding operations, that was really of any nature that we really could count on at that time, right, Mr. Sandgate? So we really had, this is all she really addressed. There was some limited discussion about the opening cost, the additional opening costs, et cetera, but that's really about it. So I'll give these 3 copies over to anybody who wants these. And we'll have those, and we'll go ahead and put it in the other.
Is this what was supposed to be put in the
Ms.
boxes?
Nolan will put it in all the boxes.
Is this what was supposed to be put in the boxes?
That's part of what, I don't know what else he might have, but that's the primary thing that she prepared.
Well, I have those as well.
Okay?
Yeah.
What the chairman has is something that I put together, and I was primarily looking, it's hard to project 3 and 4 years out, but looking at the history, our sales tax history, is that clearly is significantly down. The last 6 months, and I have not seen the September numbers yet, we have seen improvements over that same period the prior year, about 3.25% average. So one of the things that we talked about at Budget Committee was that improvement that we anticipate seeing in the sales tax will help us cover the operating costs when we get to the point of Stewart's Creek High. And the other analysis that I had was a fund balance, because pretty much every year we have somewhere 1 to 1.5% of the GPS budget that we do not spend that goes to fund balance. And a lot of that is just simply the laws under which we operate. We get an audit finding if we overdraw any labor line. Our budget has 30 pages when you look at it by department, and all but probably 5 or 6 of those pages have labor lines, most of them multiple labor lines. So you get a finding if you go over in any one of those lines. We cannot essentially spend all of our appropriation any one year. So one of the sources we can use, and we were able to use it for the middle schools to cover the operating expenses, was going into our fund balance. We anticipate being able to do something like that for Stewart's Creek at that point too. The thing that we have to watch on that, and Lisa and I watch that very carefully, is if you don't meet your budgeted revenue, that adversely reflects your fund balance. We look very carefully and discuss back and forth quite a bit to make sure we're both comfortable with our revenue projections, so we do meet that and not have that eating away at the balance. So yeah, those were the sorts of things we discussed at budget, and we'll be presenting in more detail, or as, maybe not in more detail, maybe updated a month or so, but going over at the November meeting along with more of the building-related questions and all of that.
Well, as your chairman, I would feel much more comfortable if all of us had an opportunity to study both of these items, and what Ms. Nolan sent us and what Mr. Sandvik has sent us, and there was by the way, some other related things as well that I got in my mailbox. I would feel much more confident if we could just put this on the November agenda, and if that is the will of the committee, if that's okay with y'all.
That's, for me, absolutely. I would be in no position to be comfortable to discuss it right now without being able to look at some of those numbers that were provided, and thank you for bringing that information up. But since I haven't had a chance to look at it, I'd like to digest that first and try to get that information as quick as I can, if possible.
Unless, yes, sir.
The information complete enough, Mr. Chairman, to give us a picture. I think some of the discussion, especially some of the discussion on the full commission floor this month, related to potential tax increases. Is this information going to make that a little bit more clear?
Yes, sir, I believe so.
Would it be prudent to ask Ms. Nolan to attend this meeting to kind of go over that, or are you comfortable enough with it to make that presentation?
I think I can say without question that I'm always comfortable with Ms. Nolan and her knowledge of our budget. And I'll make that request.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, sir. Are there other comments about this? If not, I'm going to just add this to our November meeting and thank Mr. Sandvik for being with us. If there are no further questions for him at this time, we will excuse him. Thank you, Mr. Sandvik, very much for being with us tonight.
Thank you.
Speaking of the November meeting, I just jotted this down here, not suggesting there should be a change. Our next meeting is scheduled for the 23rd of November. Schools are out the next day. That's Thanksgiving week. Is there any reason that we need to change? I'm not proposing a change at all. I'm just
Yeah, the 23rd.
I'm sorry?
The schools are out on the 23rd, aren't they?
I don't think so. I think previously they've been out the Wednesday before.
I think that's right.
I don't have children in the county schools
Okay,
anymore.
okay.
So.
The Wednesday. I was thinking that was the day before
Um,
Thanksgiving.
but is
I'm sure
is the
we're not-
23rd of November acceptable for everyone?
That's fine with me.
I'm okay with
Okay.
it.
I'm fine.
All right, okay, we'll just leave it on the 23rd then. And that's certainly fine with me. Is there any new business from anyone? Anything you wish to discuss or want to discuss next time, or? No?
Mr. Chairman, just
Yes,
if I
sir.
could just reemphasize again if it's possible to please get that information as quick as we
Yes,
can
sir.
for that. I'd really like to take a look at it and really understand it a little bit better before our November meeting.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. If there's nothing else, we are adjourned. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.